Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. Today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about how to produce silage. If this is what you are looking for, please stay tuned. Alright folks, as mentioned, we're going to go into silage. So this is going to be kind of a four-part setup where we're going to go into each one. We're going to talk about each one individually and the equipment in each stage, and then we'll move to the next stage, and there's a reason for that. It's just to kind of help keep it a little bit more compartmented, if you will, since silage is a little bit more complicated than just growing a crop off of a field. There's more stuff you're doing with it. So first off, kind of the first part of this is going to be, well, let me just go through the first four parts here and just tell you what they are. So part one is going to be chaff source. So to produce silage, essentially you produce chaff first, and then you use chaff to ferment it into silage. So chaff source, where you're going to get your chaff from. Part two is going to be chaff collection. How are you going to collect that chaff or harvest it, depending on what form it is. Part three is fermentation, which is in general pretty simple. And then part four is going to be how you're going to collect your silage once it's done fermenting. So we're going to talk about all those. So the first part's honestly the most complicated, or the second part's probably the most complicated. So part one is your chaff source. So there are many different sources of chaff that you can use. The two most common, I'd say, are grass and corn, and those are the two I'd recommend probably sticking to. The other ones are just kind of other options, essentially just kind of as extras if you wanted to go down that route. But usually the best in general are grass and corn. You also can use hay, wheat, barley, oats, canola, and soy. So let's jump into the first one. So the first one is going to be grass here. So here it is, just simple grass. That's all there is to it. And obviously talking about in the other category, hay, you can use grass to produce hay. However, there's no advantage to producing hay if you're going to make silage. So I just recommend using grass instead of hay, and that's why grass is more of a primary source. Corn, you get a lot from corn. You can get a lot of chaff from corn, so that's why it's not a bad one. And corn's not a super high value crop either, so it's usually more valuable, or it's about the same value as silage. Sometimes maybe even more, depending on what map and the price of silage and everything like that. You also can use either barley, oats, canola, soy, or wheat. I have soy planted here, which we're going to use. However, in general, I'd recommend just using the wheat, barley, oats, canola, and soy as crops and selling them that way, since you're probably going to do better that way anyway, since you can use grass and other stuff. That's going to give you a much higher yield. Anyways, now given if you're going to use these crops for silage, you're going to get a higher yield anyways, because what you're doing is essentially chopping up the whole crop and throwing it into a trailer and then into a bunker silo, which we're going to talk about all that stuff. So those are your chaff sources. So we're going to first start talking about how to collect chaff. So this is part two now. So as part of part two, we're going to start with grass. So I have the Chrome Big M mower here, which I'm going to turn on the help menu just so you guys can see what's going on. It's unfolded. You can use any mower to get grass. So I'm just going to, lower down, turn it on. I have it in swath dropping mode, which is going to be more convenient. So if you're going to just mow regular grass off the field, you absolutely can just do that and not use a windrower, but I recommend windrowing it if possible. So again, there's nothing terribly special about this. This is all we're doing. We're just mowing grass as if we're going to do something else with it. So now if you're going to produce hay, you're probably going to want to do it in wide swathing, which if you notice down there in the bottom left hand corner, it says work mode, and we can control that. So left control Y is going to give us a left swath. So I'll show you what that looks like on this. So there's left swath, left control Y again for right swath. There we go. Left control Y again for a wide spread. So, and again, this is the biggest, baddest mower in the game. You don't have to use that. You can use any mower and then swath it. There's actually I'm going to talk about just in-game stuff in this video, just in-game equipment, but I'm going to mention a couple of mods that might make your life a little bit easier if you decide to go down this route. There is a mower that I'll just talk about once we get into the store. So now that we have the grass kind of harvested, we need to be able to get this stuff off and then into a bunker silo. So there's a couple methods. The most common is going to be using a loading wagon like this. So if we come in here, I'll turn the help menu back on. And this is why it's convenient to have it in a swath. So if I hit V, as you see up in the upper left-hand corner, lower that down, and then hit B as in boy, turn on the forage wagon, and then it's good to go. We're just going to drive over, and it's going to collect the grass. Now, I know that that's not technically chaff because it's grass, and you could feed it to animals as this way and stuff like that. However, the moment you dump it into one of those bunker silos over there, it becomes chaff. So be aware of that. Once you dump it into there, you're not going to get grass back out of it. So yeah, there's a method to collect grass right there. No big deal. There is, however, other ways to collect grass off of the field here. And this is what I would say is like the rich man's way to collect it. So that's a much cheaper piece of equipment. I mean, this is probably a $40,000 or $50,000 loading wagon versus this guy is a $515,000 piece of equipment plus a $30-some-odd-thousand header to it. But you can do it this way. So this is a forage harvester here. However, we're using a just easy flow collect, and I'll show you this stuff in the store. So this is just the collect attachment. So this just picks up either hay or grass. Those are what it works on. So again, once this is all everything's unfolded, just hit V to lower, B to turn on. And this is just, you're just going to drive over and it's going to pick up the grass and throw it in a trailer. So again, very expensive way to collect it, but if you want to do it this way, absolutely, you can do it this way. All right, so those are kind of the different things we have going on here. Let's take a look in the store at some of these items that we just talked about. So first off, this is the big X. This is what I have as the forage harvester. That easy collect attachment that's on it is going to be in tools under forage harvester headers, and it's going to be this guy right here. So I guess only 20,000, and again, it's only going to collect hay and grass. So that's the guy right there that you're looking for. And again, we're going to talk about a lot of the different stuff in here as we go through this harvester. I will say you can attach other stuff to it that you'll notice we'll talk about as we go later down the road. So it is more versatile than you could just use it for this, so just be aware of that. So having multiple headers for this is definitely worthwhile. If we go back into here, if we go over here, this is the mower I'm using right here, but most of you are probably not going to have that mower right off, especially if you're starting out. And I recommend doing silage because you're able to make a lot of money with silage. So you can use any of these mowers to do it. There is a mod. It's like a $60,000 version of this in the mod hub where this will swath drop. So this says wide spreading, but there is a version that can swath drop. And I think there's even a mod version of this specifically. But yeah, so the NovaCat that can swath drop in the mod hub is very useful because then it puts it in a swath versus this is going to put it just wide spread out. So yeah, there's all that stuff for it. Oh, let's look at the loading wagon. Obviously the trailer I'm using is just going to be this guy right here. I do recommend, and this is the only time I'll ever recommend, a swivel axle on the front because I hate them in general for doing stuff like this, just because it makes your equipment a little bit more maneuverable, if that makes sense. So that's the trailer I'm going to be using for the whole episode here, the whole tutorial. But if we go back over into here, over to loading wagons, this is the loading wagon I have, so 46,000. You can get bigger ones, obviously, as you go down. Okay, so that's everything for grass. That's it. That's how you collect grass. And so essentially, we'll talk about what to do with the grass after you're done, since we're going to, we'll talk about that as we go. So the next thing you can collect is going to be corn. So there's a few ways to collect corn off the field. So obviously, you could harvest this with a corn header on a combine, but that's not what we're going to do. And by the way, if you're wondering about how to grow grass, how to grow hay, or how to grow corn, I have videos for both of those. They'll be linked down below in the description, so go watch those. Or once we get to soybeans, if you're wondering how to grow those and all that good stuff, that's going to be linked down below as well. So the first option for collecting the corn off the field as chaff is using one of these, and this is a tractor attached forage harvester. This is the one that's standard in game. This is usually a much cheaper option, and I recommend just hooking a trailer up in the back. So we get in here. So if we go over to the header, it's turned on. We can lower it down. I had to hit O to put the pipe out. So now if I go in here, it's going to collect that corn, and as you see down in the bottom right hand corner, it's going to say we have chaff, and I'm not doing a very good job here, but and you're obviously getting a lot. See, we're already pretty far up as far as how much chaff we have here. So yeah, that is the way to do it. You can hire a worker to do this. So there's a worker doing it right now, and he'll just stop once the trailer gets full. The other option for you, and I'll demonstrate this real quick, is if we disconnect the trailer, we move forward, and we hire a worker. So he's obviously not going because he has nowhere to put the chaff. So if you wanted to, if this was the way you wanted to do it, which is totally optional, and this works for a lot of the things we're going to talk about using some of these guys. It doesn't work with the easy collect because you can't hire a worker to do that, and that's what we just showed over there with the grass. But for corn, works fantastic. So I can come up here, and then now he's going to work on harvesting while he's putting it into a trailer here next to me. And then once this trailer's full, I can go empty it while he's still sitting there waiting for me to come back with another trailer. So some people prefer this. I usually will have it on the harvester just because I'm usually trying to do other stuff. So I'm going to dismiss the worker. That is what it is. All right, let's move on. Now, the beefy way to collect silage is using this. And again, this is that same guy over there. This is the crone. So this guy's a huge header on it, and this is going to collect silage really quickly. So we're going to hit O to put the pipe out. We're going to lower the header and hit B to turn on the harvester and the header. and we're just going to go out and collect. Obviously, we're getting it way faster, and we're getting way more done quicker. I have a worker hired now. You can hire a worker to do this. And again, if I wanted to disconnect that trailer at the back, I could also do the same thing I did with the other harvester. Now, this isn't the only forage harvester in the game, so we'll go look at all those options for you here in just a second. But again, just beware, you could have the trailer... Oh, not that. Have the trailer detach, and you could have this guy continue to go. However, you'd have to pull a trailer alongside. And again, if you have a worker hired and a trailer attached, it's going to stop once it's full. So let's take a look at these guys in the store. So first things first, if we go over here to forage harvester headers, this is the guy I'm using on the tractor. That's the header I'm using. And again, I'm just using a regular trailer. So that's the header I'm using, 38,000, a lot cheaper than anything else. If we go over tier 2 forage harvesters, again, I'm using the chrome. There are other options. So there are cheaper options for this that if you want to use those. So just be aware of that. And a lot of the attachments are kind of interminglable, so they will work between different harvesters. And these are the some from the Platinum Edition, but these are the 3 standard in-game ones, which is nice because I believe on FS17 you only had the crone, if I remember. I know some people call it crone, some people call it Krona. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong. So let's go into here and then forage harvest headers. So that's the one we used for the crone earlier. That's the one that was on the front of the tractor. If we keep moving down, we have this attachment, which we'll talk about soon for the crone. But this is the one I'm using out there. So again, very, very expensive, but again, it's a 9-meter working width. These ones are for the other ones, technically speaking, to harvest corn. So these are the ones that you would use. And again, it's going to note corn down there. These are forage headers for the other corn harvesters. All right, and this is an easy collect essentially for one of the other harvesters as well. So that's everything you need to know about corn. There you have it. And then once you have chaff in here, which is this collects chaff directly, so it will always be chaff if you collect it that way, then you just dump it into a bunker silo. All right. So if you wanted to, if you have wheat, barley, oats, canola, or soy in the final state of harvest, you can use this attachment on the front, which I'll actually just show you this one in the store real quick. It's going to be this guy. And again, we're using the corner. This is the X disc. This is what it's going to harvest. It also does grass. So we can go off and do grass if we wanted to, but that's not what we're going to demonstrate here. I'm going to move up to the header, V to lower it, B to turn it on, and it's going to harvest chaff instead of soy. And again, I would recommend just taking your soy and selling it as soy. Once the crop is withered, you can't do this, and you can't do this when the crop is in a green state. You can harvest the corn when it's in its final state of growth. So if we go into the map here, there's different states of growth on here. So once it gets to this stage for corn, you can harvest it as chaff. However, for soy and other crops such as that, you need to wait until it's in the ready to harvest state. Okay, so that's everything you need to know essentially about different ways to collect it. So after it is collected, part 3 is going to be fermentation. So the most common way to ferment silage is going to be in one of these. It's a bunker silo. This is one of the standard ones in game. This is the smallest option standard in game. We'll look at this in the store. It's a placeable. A lot of maps now will have different bunker silos of custom bunker silos and stuff built in. The easiest way to find out if it's a bunker silo and you're not sure is turn on your help menu, walk inside of it, and then you'll see on the left-hand corner, it'll say fill, level, chaff, and compacting. And we'll talk about compacting as well. Over here, this is the biggest option. So this is a double big bunker silo. Obviously, you can fill it as much as you want or as little as you want. So if I walk in here and I just have a little bit of grass in here, like 1,000 liters, you could still cover it. You don't have to have this thing full. There's not like a fill limit to it. However, when you are putting chaff inside of it and grass inside of it, I'd recommend trying to keep it as much as possible towards the middle and leave maybe from like this point to the outside open, because when you're compacting it, it tends to spread out a little bit. And I mentioned a few things that you're probably like, well, I have no idea what compacting means. I have no idea what covering a bunker silo means or anything like that. So we'll talk about those. Don't worry, we're going to come back to that. There's just a lot to kind of cover and go over, so I'm just kind of using some terms now, but we're going to cover it all as we go. So if we go into the store here, we go into placeables. Under silos, you'll have bunker silos. This is the small one I have, 15,000. There's a medium, a large. There's a small, which is going to be 2 of those next to each other. There's also a medium, which is 2 of the medium ones, and this is the large doubled, which I have out there right now. These are just custom mods because I'm on no man's land. So those are the different bunker silos. There's tons of mods available. So there you have it. So what I'm going to do, just for demonstration's sake, I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to add some chaff into here real quick. So if I go into here, and I'm going to do a tutorial video on how to use this if you don't know how to use this, but let's go through here and get the correct option. chaff. There we go. And we're just going to go, there we go. So I have some chaff in here. It says fill level chaff 89,777 liters, but it says compacting 0%. So I can't do anything. This isn't fermenting. It's not doing anything. So once you get, let's say this is all I want to put in this bunker silo. Let's say that this is all I'm going to put in it. So what I'm going to do, the most common way to go ahead and compact it, because you have to get compacting to 100% before you can do what's called covering it, is use a tractor. This is what most people are going to do. They're just going to drive over it. As you can see, compacting is 1%, and it'll slowly go up as you drive over it. Now, obviously, you're trying to spread it out more than this. This is just me dumping it on. So now it's 2%, you can see in the corner, and so on and so forth. It takes a while to get it if you do it this way. A method I recommend is if you're pulling trailers in here full of chaff, is as you go, drive the trailer full of chaff over the top of the chaff over and over again that's already been poured out, and that will compact it a lot quicker. However, if we do go into the store, there is an option to help you compact it if this is what you want to do. There are levelers. So these are designed to help smooth and compact the chaff. In my experience, I don't usually use them. I find that they do work fair enough, but I would prefer just to do it with a tractor and a trailer. I found that's just quicker for me and easier, and I'm not including another piece of equipment that I have to buy. But if you wanted to use these options or try them out, these are available in the store for you, and they're not terribly expensive. So yeah, that is another option to compact it. So what I'm going to do is get this compacted down to 100%, and then I'm going to bring you guys back in. All right, so as you can see, it is now much more smooth. Still, the bulk part of it here is in the center, but obviously that's a completely different shape than it was before. And you see in the upper left-hand corner, it says 89,777 for the fill level, and it is compacted to 100%. You'll also notice it says blanket silo if you hit R up there. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But this is why I also know I didn't want you to have a big pile right here on the edge, because anything past this edge is not going to get covered when you cover the silo to ferment it. So notice how much that's smoothed out. And another thing, it's very important to get it as spread out as possible, or as smooth as possible, I should say, and all in one level. And you don't want big heaps of it, because I did get my tractor stuck once driving over the top trying to compact it down. So just be aware of that. Bigger tractors are better. However, you can do this with smaller tractors. It'll just take longer. And again, the more weight you pile on top of it, the better it does work. So we're going to go ahead and blanket this. So if I hit R, it's going to go ahead and do that. And now you see that in the upper left-hand corner, it has fermenting silage. It's at 1%. So it doesn't take very long to ferment silage at all. It usually takes about a game and day, if that. So it's relatively quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this ferment now that you know how to put it all in here. And then after it ferments, I'm going to show you how to get it out of here. And that's going to be part 4, silage collection. We're going to talk a little bit about what to do with it. What's the point of silage? Why is it a good money maker? Where can you sell it? Everything like that. What's it used for? And then we're also going to talk about just a few of my recommendations that I would say will make it way better for you as far as everything goes. Now, there is another option though to mention as far as fermentation goes. There is a mod that I will mention that's part of the global company, so it's only on PC. It's a building you can place that's fairly expensive, but you place it and you put your chaff directly into it, and it ferments it into silage for you automatically without the use of a bunker silo. So it kind of makes it a lot easier if you're going to kind of do that in that way, but I don't usually use it. So we'll just talk about this as far as everything goes, since that's a mod for now. But yeah, I'll see you guys once this is fermented. All right, and as you can see down on the bottom or the upper left-hand corner, it says fermenting silage 100%, and it also has the option for R to open the silo. So if we hit R, it'll open up one end, and as you just drive over this or try to collect it, it'll open up the rest of it for you. So you can open up both ends if you want, or one end, or whatever the case may be. So there you have that. So now we're going to talk about how to get this out of here. So now we have silage in here. It's a different color. It's fermented. It can be used for, you can either sell it or you can send it to, essentially there's 2 ways to sell it. You either sell it at a sell point like you would anything else, such as like the barn is usually what would take it in a lot of maps. For a price as a loose object. You can also take silage bales in and do it that way. So that's another way to produce silage as well. And then you also could sell it at the BGA, which is typically more profitable. But a lot of times, if you don't own the BGA on the map you're on, or it doesn't have a BGA, or you know, you're just trying to save up to afford the BGA, because the BGA is always going to have a better price for it. then you might just want to sell it loose at the barn or something like that. Usually the barn sell point is what's going to take it on a map. And then the third option is feed it to animals. So you can use it as a feed for cows as its own, or you can use it as a product to help make you total mixed ration. So it's required to make total mixed ration. So those are kind of the options for you. And we'll talk briefly about silage bales as it is another option. However, I usually prefer to do it this way because you're able to do it a lot faster and more in bulk. So ways to get this out of here. Probably the easiest way to get it out of here, or maybe not the easiest way, but I'll say the cheapest way if you're just using no mods, nothing like that, and you're just using in-game stuff, is to take a loading wagon, hit V to lower the pickup, turn it on, and just drive in here. You can just pick it up with this. There you go. It's picking up silage relatively quickly. You may have some issues with the pickup and everything like that, so it can be kind of tricky at times, but this is probably the cheapest way to do it in general. So there you have it. I'm picking it up as I go through, but there is a better way to do this, and probably the way I would recommend. So let me get that set up and I'll bring you guys back in. And that'd be using a belt system. So this is currently loading into this trailer here automatically. So these are two different belt options here for you. Make sure you hit X to unfold them. You can enter them like vehicles to move them around. This is folded up. Oh, that's not the one I want to enter. Here we go. So inside here, you can move it around. Also, the good thing about the belts is not only can you move them around, you can really adjust them to get into really large trailers and everything like that. And that goes up and down as well. So lots of options for it, but this is usually the quickest. And once there's nothing else in range of the pickup, then it's very simple. You can deconnect them by hitting Q and then move over and get this one done. So again, this isn't a tutorial about belts specifically, and I'm moving it around using super strength, so you can just ignore that. But so we're not going to go into all the details on how to use these, but this is if you can set up a belt system, that is typically the easiest way to pick it up out of a bunker silo. Once you have it, you can haul it off to the store or do whatever you want with it. You can use it to feed animals again, like we talked about. So a couple of recommendations I have. There's a mod called the Milling Machine in the mod hub. It costs $5,000 to buy in-game. It essentially attaches to the front and is kind of, it looks like a big snow blower, if you will. You'll see it if you go look it up, and it'll be linked down below in the description. So that machine I recommend because you can use it to pick up grass off of a field instead of a loading wagon. So you hook it up in the front of your tractor, it has a pipe that comes out, and it loads it into the back of a trailer. Then you can dump your grass into a bunker silo to make silage, and that thing also works to very easily pick up silage out of a bunker silo. If you've been watching my gameplay series on No Man's Land, you'll have seen that several times, so that's what I recommend doing. Yeah, it just makes it a lot cheaper for you as far as everything goes. If we go into the store and look at what you need to actually do this, what I recommend to start out, first off, go into Placeables. All you need to do is buy the cheapest one, so $15,000. You don't need a very expensive mower. So if we go into here, you can get a mower for $17,000, $16,000, $19,000. So just get a mower. And I recommend making a field or planting a field of grass so you can hire a worker to do this. Then if we go, and you are going to have a tractor in game, let's be honest, you are going to have a tractor, so you don't need to add that. Then just get a cheap windrow or $10,000 one to start out. Windrow it, collect it, get the milling machine, it only costs $5,000, and then you just need a trailer. Very easy, very cheap to get started on silage. And it's a very quick way to make money, especially if you own the BGA. So just be aware of that. It's just super quick idea to make money for you. That's why I love doing it. I do it in probably most of my games. So quickly, we'll talk about silage bales, as some of you are probably going to do that instead. So I usually shy away from doing bales just in general. So if we go back out here, I know the grass has grown a little bit, but we'll hop into our mower. We're going to make it not wide spreading, but swath dropping. We'll hit B to turn it on. So it's swath dropping, just as that. So again, you can use mowers or whatever else to make windrows. Windrows always easier. So then you can either go across this with a square baler and make square grass bales, or you can go across it with a round baler and make square round bales, or you can go across it with a round baler and make a round grass bale, sorry. And then after that, all you have to do is wrap it. So if we go into the store, there's a bale wrapper available to us. So if we go over here to baling technology, again, you can use any baler you want here. And then you just need this guy, the bale wrapper. So you can lease this and it'll wrap those bales, and then there'll be silage for you. So each silage bale will be 4,000 liters, and then you can sell those as silage to the BGA, to the barn, or you can use them to make TMR. Some people like them for making TMR because it's just a quick, easy measurement of 4,000 liters. And there's also this option, which if you're going to do strictly silage, this is a round baler that has a wrapper on the back. So you can't actually make grass bales with it. You can only make silage bales, but you can still use this to make hay bales and to make straw bales. So again, this is what's going to wrap grass for you as well. So yeah, that's just a quick note on the other option for making silage. And again, in general, I recommend not doing that because it's just kind of easier to work with it in bulk, and you're able to make, in my opinion, money a lot faster and a lot quicker if you do it using bunker silos. But to each their own. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like down below. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button up on your screen to join the channel. Leave a comment down below if there's anything I missed, because I'm sure I missed something, or some portion of silage making, since it's quite it's not really that complex, I would say, but it's more complicated than normal crops. So if I missed anything, please let me know down below. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys coming to watch. Thank you for watching.